Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and folks, we are broadcasting from inside Renaissance Bank in beautiful Alpharetta. And if you are looking for one of the best banks in the United States, and that's not just my opinion, although it is my opinion, but if you're looking for some validation of that, well, go to Forbes magazine, because they did a survey last year which found that Renaissance was in the top 10 banks nationwide in terms of the customer survey that they did. If you're looking for a bank like that where customers love doing business with them, and you'd like to be in that position too for your business, go to renaissancebank.com and find one of their local offices and give them a call. And I think you'll be glad you did. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Dr. Mark McLaughlin, and he is a radiation oncologist with Wellstar, and also Shannon Ross. And Shannon is the Director of Oncology Services. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about you and what's going on at Wellstar in Oncology Services. Shannon, you want to start? Or?
Yes, we're really excited to be here today to talk about the expansion of oncology services that's occurring at Wellstar North Fulton.
Yep.
At Wellstar, people are at the center of everything we do. And our mission is to enhance the health and well-being of every person every time, and to extend world-class healthcare to every person. And Wellstar is investing $12 million into the community with comprehensive cancer services. And soon patients diagnosed in our community will be able to receive all of their care all in one place in our new 12,000 square foot comprehensive cancer center.
Yeah, that's awesome news. I want to get more to that in a second, but Wellstar is no newcomer to oncology treatment and services, Dr. McLaughlin.
No, yes. I'm a radiation oncologist, been with the Wellstar system since 2005. And prior to that, I worked at Mayo Clinic. I was actually an associate professor there. And
Oh, really?
Yes. And I came to Atlanta really for two reasons. Number one, to take care of my parents who were sick. Mm-hmm. Number two, really, the Wellstar system did attract me because of their technology. Mm-hmm. When I came to Atlanta, they actually put in a new machine called the Cyberknife. It was the 7th Cyberknife in the United States and the 13th in the world.
Wow.
It was put into Marietta, Georgia. Mm-hmm. That Cyberknife is now the second busiest Cyberknife in the United States. I mean, we treat patients of all types, all different subsets of patients. It's really helped out a tremendous amount of patients in the Marietta community and beyond in terms of being cured and being treated for their cancer care.
I want to get back to that because you said some very interesting things there, but I want to ask both of you actually, why oncology? I mean, why a lot of different disciplines you could have gone to in healthcare, but what really lit you up about wanting to serve in this area? Dr. McLaughlin, you go first.
In medical school, we're exposed to all different types of disciplines. Mm-hmm. I chose oncology, and especially radiation oncology, for two reasons. Number one, oncology is growing dramatically. There's always something new. Patients obviously want to get well. There's a tremendous amount of research associated with oncology. When I was at Mayo Clinic, I was associated with quite a bit, as well as with Wellstar. So it's a very dynamic, ever-changing discipline that's always getting better. It's in the limelight, and we're saving and making a difference in patients' lives. In terms of radiation oncology, that's the application of medicine where we use radiation to kill and treat cancer cells. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of computer-generated discipline in terms of radiation oncology, making sure we treat directly to where the cancer cells are and minimize the radiation in normal tissues. When I was in undergrad, I majored in computer science, so I had a very good understanding in how computers work and how we can use computers to really improve and manage the discipline of radiation oncology.
Gotcha. Shannon, what about you? We were joking before we came on the air. You make the trains run on time in oncology services behind the scenes. Talk about why you're doing this work.
Sure. So my history in oncology spans back about 24 years. I began in the clinical setting. I began in oncology as a radiation therapist and worked in patient care, and really very early on in my career found it to be tremendously rewarding area to work in. And the technology, the advances that were quickly happening, all really is what drew me to the radiation oncology area to work in initially. As I progressed in my career, my passion for making sure we had a patient-centric approach to caring for our patients, making sure we had the latest technologies and all of the systems to support a world-class cancer program really is what led me into doing what I'm doing today, which is, the operations aspect of it.
Yeah.
Making sure that we have the right systems and processes in place to support where we're trying to go.
Yeah, that's probably an underappreciated aspect of healthcare, right? Is just having the right processes to make sure patients get treated in a timely and way, right?
In some ways, perhaps. But again, the rewarding part for me is, being able to work with world-class physicians like Dr. McLaughlin and really supporting them so that they can do what they do best.
Terrific. So, Dr. McLaughlin, I want to come back to you, and let's, I think most people know, but just in case they don't, radiation oncology. Please define that.
Radiation oncology is the use of radiation, which is high doses of X-rays that are pinpointed to where tumor cells are. And the goal is to eradicate the tumor cells or shrink the tumor cells, and working with other oncological disciplines like surgical oncology and medical oncology for the goal of, having the patients have an optimal outcome, either curing the cancer or palliating the cancer.
Gotcha. So talk about the, and whoever, the two of you want to approach this, that'll be great. Why open the new cancer center here in North Fulton? I mean, you've got tremendous campus already. What was the need for the new facility? Is it just expansion, and getting more patients in? What was or adding technology? Including the Cyberknife, of course, but we'll talk about that in a second. But what's the reasoning behind that?
It goes back to a history. The North Fulton campus, the hospital is owned by the tenant system for a number of years. And a few years back, about 5 to 7 years ago, Wellstar made a purchase of multiple tenant hospitals, including the North Fulton Hospital. When they went to North Fulton to evaluate that, they felt that the technology at North Fulton wasn't up to what we would call standard of care and world-class standards. So Wellstar's made a tremendous commitment, a financial commitment for two things: to get the technology in all aspects of North Fulton, not just oncology, but other things that the hospital provides, plus getting very optimum world-class physicians to come to North Fulton to practice. There's multiple new physicians who have basically planted their practices in the North Fulton area and to provide services to the Alpharetta, Roswell area. In terms of cancer care, we did, North Fulton did provide cancer care, but a lot of their patients at North Fulton had to go to other centers or weren't getting the cancer care they deserved, or had to travel long distances throughout the Atlanta area to receive their cancer treatment, because North Fulton wasn't a full-service center. So in the last few years, not only have we built up and made the commitment to radiation oncology, but medical oncology and surgical oncology provide a one-stop place where the physicians can talk to each other. And it's a place that's smaller than, but still the patients can get everything they deserve that we would offer in one of our major centers, such as, Wellstar and Marietta, or like Emory or other things. So they can come and have their treatment closer to home in a very convenient and very, very comfortable environment, and get the communication and technology that they would expect at a major medical center.
Awesome. So, kudos to Wellstar for making that investment in North Fulton. From a holistic perspective, That sounds great. And we've seen this again and again. We've featured some of your colleagues on this show to talk about some of those other areas. But I want to get specifically into the Cyberknife technology. So, and go back to something you said about how that technology is, this is one of 7 machines that's in the United States.
Initially, when we got the Cyberknife in 2006 at Marietta, it was the 7th machine in the U.S., the 13th in the world.
Got it. Okay.
And that machine has turned into the second busiest Cyberknife in the United States, and that includes all academics and institutions throughout the United States. So it's a very busy and very very useful machine that we use to treat cancer patients.
Thank you for bailing me out. I couldn't remember the numbers there, but what is it that makes that machine the second busiest in the United States? Beyond the fact that just people want to come to Wellstar, is there something going on in Atlanta and the Georgia area more widely that makes that technology more desirable to be used, or what's the explanation there?
A couple things. The first thing is for radiation oncology patients, the standard that we use to treat these patients, they may come daily to the radiation oncology center to receive radiation anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks to 8 weeks long. And that's a long time commitment for these patients to come daily. It's time commitment for their families, especially the elderly patients. What Cyberknife does is compresses that time in 1 to 5 treatments. So it's really a lot less time that they have to commit to their treatment. The second thing is normally when we treat patients, and patients are very concerned about what effect the radiation may have on their normal tissues, what side effects are going to affect, what damages the radiation going to occur. The Cyberknife is a very accurate, exact, pinpointed radiation machine where we can pinpoint the radiation to our target, most likely the tumor, and minimize the radiation dose to normal tissues, thus lessening the side effects of treatment. And because we can pinpoint to the tumor, many times we can increase the radiation of the tumor and thus improve on the cure rates, the control rates, the efficacy of the radiation treatment in reference to that. And the third thing is the motion. A lot of tumors do move in real time. I mean, we're treating these patients over 15, 20 minutes, and they move, the tumors or the patients can move in real time. And the Cyberknife has the technology to real-time motion management. So it follows the target in real time. So the beam is always directed at the target. So as the patient moves, the patient breathes, the tumor moves, the radiation machine moves. So we're basically pinpointing the radiation at all times to the target and minimizing on normal tissues.
Got it. So talk about what happens. I mean, when you how do you apply this technology to a patient? Is it just part of the normal radiation process that they receive, and they don't really see much of a difference between that and a radiation treatment that does not have this technology, or how does that work?
Well, kind of when we see patients, I mean, the key to patient management is communication. Not every patient we see is going to be a candidate for that. Okay. And I'll let Shannon talk about this too, but I'm going to briefly talk about it. One of the things, that beautiful thing we do at Wellstar, and we have implemented at the North Fulton campus, is what we call our STAT clinics. And it's an acronym for specialty teams and treatments. And essentially these clinics, the patients will come in and they'll see, we have one for breast, they'll see a breast surgeon, a geneticist, a nurse navigator, a radiation oncologist, a medical oncologist, and we'll see them all at once. And we will visit with the patient at one setting and then discuss the patient, because we're all in one room, and we'll come up with a plan where everybody can give their input on what should be the best treatment to basically give the patient the best outcome. We're doing that with our lung cancers, our breast cancers, our head and neck cancers right now, and that's a beautiful thing we have. If we decide the Cyberknife is part of that treatment, we will basically apply that to that patient. And basically the Cyberknife is a specialized radiation machine where we would have to plan the radiation. Plan the radiation is where we take certain measurements of that patient, measurements of their movement, their size or shape, and custom make the radiation plan for him or her. We use that with computers. We simulate that. We have a team of people. It's not myself just doing this. We have a specialized physicist who's basically world renowned that we just hired. Shannon did a wonderful job finding him. Mm-hmm. We have radiation technologists that are trained to do this. We have nurse navigators who sit down with the patients, hold their hand, hold their family's hand. Because, I can speak as much as I can, but a lot of times what I say, the patients don't understand. They're nervous.
Sure.
So we have nurse navigators that are holding their hand. We have all that at Wellstar. We have geneticists that are making sure we're treating the patient for their genetic makeup. So it's really a custom-made, personalized care model we're using at North Fulton to plan. If they need Cyberknife, we'll plan the radiation, and they'll come on a daily basis on 1 to 5 treatments. The treatments may last, 45 minutes, 15 minutes, 20. It depends on how complex they need to be. They'll lay on a certain table, a radiation treatment table, and the radiation will be applied to the patients. They don't see or feel anything. It's just like getting an X-ray.
Okay.
They may be able to drive during treatment, depending on what type of cancer, how they feel, their age group, and all that stuff. It's a technology that we want to do to try to give minimal impact to their quality of life so they can go on to their life, whether they're a patient who works, they continue to work full time, or the patient who's retired, that they can do what they can do in their retirement. So we don't want to, impact their quality of life or their time commitment that much. But, the wonderful thing that we're doing at North Fulton is the Cyberknife's a great thing, but this complex community of oncologists are going to come together, led by Shannon, who's brought that to Wellstar, of these great doctors and great non-doctors, nurses, geneticists, that are going to personalize this treatment for these patients and do it in a way that we're all talking at one time. My parents both had cancer, and when they had cancer, the beautiful thing for me, I'd have to drive them to their treatment. But when I would go to these clinics, I would, instead of having 5 or 6 different visits, one with a medical oncologist, one with a radiation oncologist, one with it's just one time. It may take 2 or 3 hours, but everybody's come together.
Right.
Everybody's communicating, and everybody generates the plan. And the patients love it. Their family loves it because it's a one-time shot. So I'm going to let Shannon, because he implemented that.
Yeah.
Let him talk about this too.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Please. Yeah.
Yeah. And very, very good information. And summarizes it very well.
Yeah.
What's exciting about this is exactly that. Comprehensive cancer services right here locally in North Fulton. And to Dr. McLaughlin's points, what really stands up comprehensive cancer, and really as a framework of that, is the world-class cancer physicians that we have at Wellstar North Fulton. They're nationally recognized in their areas of expertise, and the rest of the support team that is there to help navigate that patient from time of diagnosis through treatment into follow-up care and into survivorship care. And, the nurse navigators are really a key component to that process. They act almost maybe like a concierge for that patient, and are that middle resource to make sure that they're staying connected with all of the moving parts to their treatment. Dr. McLaughlin touched on our STAT clinics, our specialty teams and treatment clinics. Those are really unique here to us, and integral part of our comprehensive cancer services, because patients do have the group of cancer doctors all come together during staging, during diagnosis, and work collaboratively together to come up with a plan of care for that patient. And then that patient is able to meet with all of their specialists all at one time, all at one roof, get all of their questions answered, become connected with our nurse navigators, and leave that appointment with a plan for care. So essentially what we're doing is we're reducing the time from diagnosis to treatment.
Wow. Great work. We're here chatting with Shannon Ross. You just heard him speak. He's the director of oncology at Wellstar North Fulton. And then Dr. Mark McLaughlin. He's a radiation oncologist with Wellstar. So one of the things that stands out for me, just if I can take this bunny trail, is the nurse navigators. Because to your point, Dr. McLaughlin, I mean, patients are nervous, right? And maybe when the doctor's in the room, they don't ask all the questions that they're going to have, right? And what sounds like is you're giving people someone that can walk through them and come and address those questions that they're inevitably going to have later.
Yeah, that's correct. And, our nurse navigators are have a wealth of oncology clinical background. They subspecialize in their areas. So we have nurse navigators that are dedicated to certain types of cancers. They're trained in those areas. They're certified through various nurse navigation accrediting bodies here in the United States. And yes, they make a connection with a patient, oftentimes even at screening. And if there's an abnormal finding during that screening process, they're connected with that patient from that point forward, whatever the outcome is. So if additional testing, doesn't, return a cancer diagnosis, they're still available there as a resource for those patients, as they go through, possibly follow-up testing. They also, help, they're with that patient through every step of the journey, if it does turn into a cancer diagnosis. So they're, very, closely connected with all of our oncology providers, and, they're really bridge that gap. Between the times that they see these oncology providers and the time that they see the next oncology provider, and all of the questions that will come up in between. Yeah, terrific. So, when the center itself here, the Wellstar North Fulton Cancer Center, when will it open? So we're slated to open at the end of March. Okay. Our Cyberknife program will be live at that point. We during that. From this time until March, we're working on expanding some of our other services. We're expanding our medical oncology space. As Dr. McLaughlin mentioned, we're just getting ready to launch a new head and neck stat clinic. That's going to be live next month. And but overall, our comprehensive cancer program, our stat clinic, we're building out additional square footage for that space so we can accommodate more patients. We'll be live with all of that in March of next year. And what are the particular types of cancer that you'll be treating? Sounds like it's going to be pretty extensive. Yes. I mean, anywhere from head and neck cancer, lung cancer, we have a stat clinic for lung cancer, breast cancer, we have a stat clinic for. One of the nice things with breast cancer also is we're doing a model where, after people have surgery for breast cancer, a lot of people will require radiation. The concern with radiation is the breast is very close to the lung. It's right in front of the lung. And then for left-sided breast cancer, it's right, in front of the heart also. Right. So there's concern that if we radiate the breast, we might be damaging or could be exposing radiation to the lung or the heart. At Wellstar, we're only one of two centers in Atlanta, Wellstar North Fulton, that provide a service which is called intraoperative radiation, which is a service I learned at Mayo Clinic. And basically, we have a radiation application that we bring into the operating room where the surgeon will, during the time of operation, she will remove the breast tumor. The breast surgeon will remove the breast tumor. I'll be in the operating room with her. And right after she removes the breast tumor in that deficit where the breast tumor was once present, I'll radiate that deficit and they'll be finished not only for their surgery, but their radiation. So, and the radiation doesn't expose the lung or the heart. They don't have to come back for 6 weeks of radiation. They're done at the time of surgery. It basically adds an extra half hour to their surgical experience. But the benefit is they don't have to come back and forth for multiple radiation visits after their surgery like you would standard-wise. And the second benefit is it doesn't expose the heart or lung, so the side effects are much less. And we've implemented that at Wellstar North Fulton. It's been a beautiful thing that's really affected and been able to treat a lot of patients. We treat, prostate cancers are big business. We have one of the largest prostate cancer surgical operations in the Southeast. Dr. Scott Miller is there, and he's a wonderful surgeon. He sees people throughout the United States in terms of surgical procedures. So we help him and the patients who can't have surgery or need surgery and radiation. We'll provide radiation services to his patients. We'll treat gynecologic cancers. We have a gynecologic a person who specializes in gynecologic cancers at Wellstar North Fulton. I mean, basically, she's highly trained just to treat, vaginal cancers, cervical cancers, endometrial cancers, ovarian cancers. And we'll treat, rectal cancers, GI cancers like pancreatic cancers, gastric cancers, esophageal cancers. So pretty much everything we have opportunity to treat. And we also work very closely. We're affiliated with Mayo Clinic. And we've worked very closely with them. We have a research program with Mayo Clinic where we can put patients on clinical trials also. So we're trying to provide the services
in the Roswell-Alpharetta area, so these patients don't have to leave the Roswell-Alpharetta and get everything they can get and need with research, top-of-line technology, communication, top-of-line, doctors and medical staff at that center. So,
wow, this is exciting news and hopeful news, I know, for a lot of people. So this is great stuff. Dr. McLaughlin, Shannon, we appreciate you and the great work you're doing at Wellstar, and a big thank you to the two of you and to all your colleagues that you represent. So thank you for that. Before we let you go, though, let's get to the most important question, which is those that have heard something here, and I'm sure there will be, that makes them want to get in touch. Let's tell them how they can do that.
Yeah, sure. So those that would like to get in touch with us can certainly visit our website. It's wellstar.org/North Fulton Cancer. They can contact us directly at 770-410-4526.
Okay.
Or they can reach out to me directly via email, Shannon, SHANNON Ross, the number 2. There's apparently 2 of us there, at wellstar.org.
Terrific. Shannon Ross, Director of Oncology Services at Wellstar North Fulton, and also Dr. Mark McLaughlin, radiation oncologist with Wellstar. Thank you both so much for coming in. And again, thank you for the great work you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, folks, just a quick reminder. If you are planning a team building activity for your company, and you don't want to have to visit Wellstar after it's over to have broken bones repaired, I've got an idea for you that's a little safer. It involves going over to A&S Culinary Concepts and giving Executive Chef Andrew Traub a call, 678-336-9196. Yes, they have an award-winning culinary studio, and they do corporate catering and a lot of that work. And it's great work, by the way, but they also have a corporate team building function that they hold there at their facility. And they basically close things down and welcome your team in. And you get to stand around the stainless steel table and season meat and cut up vegetables together and cook and eat it together. And it's a lot of fun. I've been there, and it's terrific. So go to asculinaryconcepts.com or call 678-336-9196 to find out more about this terrific facility in Johns Creek. And folks, North Fulton Business Radio is on all the major podcast apps. You can find us on your favorite major app by searching North Fulton Business Radio. We're coming up on 500 shows. We're excited about that and that milestone, and we've been able to do that because of you and your support. We would love it if you would support us by sharing the show with those that you think need to hear it. So if you know somebody that you think needs to hear about the great work at Wellstar North Fulton and their oncology services area, please share the show because that's how we celebrate the great work of business leaders like Dr. McLaughlin and Shannon. So if you could do that for us, we would appreciate it. So for my guests, Dr. Mark McLaughlin and Shannon Ross from Wellstar, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.